be able? Okay, awesome. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Prodell Middle School. We're going to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Rob, second Megan. Any questions? All in favor? 6-0. Before we begin tonight, just like to ask everyone to please take a moment of silence in honor of our veterans on Veterans Day. We'd like to thank all military and veterans in our community and outside our community for their service. Thank you. Now at this time, I'm excited to announce that we have our middle school performance. Mr. Volz is here to introduce our orchestra and some members of the band as well. So we're actually going to be playing a little bit of musical chairs. I'm going to join you out there while our students come perform for us on stage.
Spartacus. They're trying to put their stuff back.
Yeah, Lisa.
Can't fit it back here. Oh, they do. We'll do it. Oh, they are. Oh, that's what they're doing. Very well done.
No, we'll just join them then, okay?
Well, I think we need to join them.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what we're doing?
Thank you again to our incredible musicians and Mr. Volz. We'll be looking forward to the concert. Now, at this time in our meeting, we'll have the superintendent's report by Mr. Poole.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. As everybody knows, I am sharing superintendent report duties with our ex officio student board member, who is Amelia tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Amelia, to start.
Congratulations to the entire cast and crew of The Sound of Music for 3 incredible performances earlier this month. The high school fall concert is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Best Buddies will be hosting a fundraiser selling merchandise for the club that we hope to start within the next week. Best Buddies will also be having their potluck on November 29th. Thank you to Ms. Scolacci's participation in government students for organizing our annual Veterans Day Assembly. Special thank you to retired U.S. Army Captain Jason Mulligan for being the keynote speaker. Seniors Gavin Trezza and Brian Vogel were commended for serving as role models for their peers as first-time blood donors at Wading River's blood drive. They signed up for the NYBC Red Cord program, an opportunity for high school seniors to donate blood twice in their senior year. They will receive a red cord to wear at their 2023 graduation ceremony. Lastly, last night there was a legislative committee meeting where they spoke about the legislative priorities for the 2022-2023 school year, and the following items were reviewed: a draft letter advocating for positive reforms for the civil service process, committee member attendance at the upcoming Longwood Legislative Breakfast, which will be held on February 4th this year, a draft list of 4 to 5 legislative priorities for the district for this school year. The committee will be working on the draft document over the next several meetings. Several draft priorities that emerged centered on safety and security, foundation aid, and supporting mental health, potential outreach and meetings with our local legislators.
Thank you, Amelia. And thanks also for anyone who hasn't seen Amelia yet. She's one of our 3 ex officio student board members, and beyond the commitment of going to the board, Amelia reported on the legislative priorities because she attended the legislative committee meeting. So thank you for your time doing that as well. Appreciate it. Back to Mr.
Great.
Poole.
So I will continue. Just a few highlights from around our buildings. Over at the middle school, I'd like to thank Mrs. Seneca and Mr. Volz for organizing the annual Veterans Day Assembly for 8th graders, which took place on November 7th to honor our nation's heroes. A special thank you to some of our local veterans, John Fernandez, Buddy Gangler, Lieutenant Dan Guida, and Michael Warren for presenting and sharing with the students their experiences in the military. Over at the middle school on November 14th, students and staff wore blue in support of Diabetes Awareness Day. Additionally, as part of their learning about how to express the Wildcat Trade of the Month gratitude, students at the Wading River School created a beautiful Veterans Wall filled with stars that highlight our service members. Additionally, over at Wading River, the Wading River Student Council invites everyone to contribute to their food drive by Friday, November 18th. All donated items will go to local food pantries in our community. And the Wading River PTA will be hosting their annual game night on Friday, November 16th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Over at the middle school, all students at Miller Avenue School this past few weeks were taught a lesson by Mrs. Smith about bullying. They learned the definition of bullying and how to respond to it, and they pledged to stand up to bullying. That's great to hear over at Miller Avenue. Miller Avenue kicked off the month of November also with a gratitude assembly. Each student at Miller Avenue is decorating a leaf specifying something that they are grateful for, and those leaves are being added to a tree in their all-purpose room. And if you've driven by Miller Avenue recently, you might notice a new flower bed at the entrance of the school parking lot. Local Brownie Troop 2776 painted colorful chrysanthemums and ornamental cabbage surrounding the marquee. So thank you to them. It does look fantastic. A quick note to sports: we had an exciting fall sports season. Many teams made the playoffs. I know Mr. Passamani will be coming to recognize our fall athletes at a very soon upcoming board meeting. But I do want to make note of a couple of students that recently had some standout accomplishments. Congratulations to swimmer Emily Herr, who was the county champion in the 200 and 500 freestyle. Emily is competing in the States this weekend in Rochester. Congratulations to the girls soccer team who won the Class A county championship. And Ben Wizomirski, Ben, if I said that wrong, I apologize, and Olivia Pesso qualified for the state cross-country meet last weekend in Syracuse. Both represented Shoreham-Wading River in Section 11 really well. So congratulations to those student athletes. School district. And then finally, tonight on the agenda, we have a few presentations. I know we have the high school student government here this evening to share some happenings at the high school. Mr. Van provide an update on the middle school. And then a second update to the board on the K-5 report card process. I know we've presented to the board and to the public several times on report card changes, the articulation documents to support the report cards that have been completed. And Mr. Parinello and Ms. Smith are here this evening to provide an update on that report card process, which will be rolled out for the first time this first trimester, K-5. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. Okay, so next we will move straight into the principal's report. Mr. Van, thank you for having us, by the way.
During the day. During the day.
Ricky told me it's opposite, so I'm trying to go the wrong way. Okay. Well, thank you very much for being here tonight, and thank you for allowing me to give you an overview of what's going on at Prodell this year. Very proud of this school and of what the students and the staff are able to accomplish. First thing I wanted to start with was just one of the things that we take very seriously, or we're very proud of, it is instilling and fostering a sense of patriotism and respect for our country and respect for our veterans. So this spring we really had, we were able to do that in a wonderful way, and largely in thanks to social studies teachers and the Patriots Day Committee headed by Ms. Seneca. We were able to really demonstrate, I think, outwardly to the community, our sense of patriotism. And if you just look at that slide right there, that's a picture of one of our showcases that has plaques for those in the community who have donated flags, and the flags are the ones that line the front of the building as you come in. And folks were able to sponsor a flag, and it could have been in memory of a loved one or just thanks for the service. We also have a beautiful centerpiece there that was donated by Captain Gangler. He created that in honor of Patriots Day, and we also have some beautiful things that are on loan from the Abrams family, which is actually some steel from the 9/11 site. So we're just thankful for those folks that were able to support us with that. You can see the flags in the front of the building, which I think is a beautiful addition to the building. And then additionally, the top right one there is the out front patio, which we were able to support, put some flags out there as well. And each year we're going to look to add to that, look to add flags to the display, and we'll plan on leaving them up right from the beginning of the school year, right through Veterans Day. So they'll be coming down soon. We don't want to leave them out and get beat up. So we'll look to put them up in the spring again when we come around to Memorial Day.
Looks fabulous. Looks
Yeah, I think it
beautiful.
looks really great. So no story about the middle school would be complete without a mention of the transition to a 9-period day. We had put a lot of work into that over the course of the past couple of years. And we're off and we're running, and it's implemented, and it seems to be going very well. Our music ensembles are now inside of the school day, each day, first period and ninth period. I think you maybe just saw a little example of the benefits of that in such a short period of time, to be such beautiful music from our students. So the ability for those folks to meet every day and the consistency of instruction, I think, has been very beneficial. One of the driving forces for that switch was to have students have more chances for the exploratory courses, art, health, home and careers, things of technology, things of that nature. So students who might have any kind of pull-out services now have an additional spot in their schedule to take advantage of those. We've seen, those classes are full. Students are getting a full experience and getting the full program, which is really what our desire was for that. Coupled with that is the earth science students who have that lab period. In addition, they're able to take some additional exploratory courses as well. So all is functioning as we hoped, and students are in the classes. They're getting the instruction that we had hoped they would get. Just an example of some of the new courses that we do offer this year. In 8th grade is computer programming. We have currently, it's hard for me to see from here, but I think it's 59 to 60 students, 2 sections of that where students are really focusing on using the Code HS program and really making some great progress with this to make use of teaching that course. Virtual geography is a kind of a primer, I guess, for 6th grade students, where they're learning some map skills, and we're utilizing some of the resources that we have in the library as far as the virtual reality, was for students to take field trips and to get a better sense of the world that's around them. Digital music is a 7th grade course. That's up and running. We're using a lot of programs on the Chromebooks to create digital music. Agriculture, leveraging our greenhouse. That's a 7th grade special class as well. The classroom itself kind of has a back door that leads right out to the greenhouse. They've done some great projects. I'll show you some highlights of those in a few minutes. Journalism class is an 8th grade program where we're going to be doing podcasting, working with Newsday. The Newsday folks have been sending us some copies, and we're working on advertising and real estate and all sorts of different things in that class. And then a STEAM class for our 6th graders, which is kind of a broad introduction to all of those cool projects. We have 3D printers that students are going to be using and creating projects with. Our other courses, as I mentioned, remain to be, they're really full with all the students getting a chance to take them. See high enrollments, obviously, in the music programs and chorus, band, and orchestra. The tech classes are full. Family and consumer sciences, many students taking world languages. So it's really, it's nice to see that the vision that we had and the plans that we have are panning out with students getting additional opportunities. Just a couple of curriculum highlights running through the STEM program. A lot of curriculum work has been done really across STEM and the humanities in the past year or so. So right now we're in the process of aligning the science program with the next generation science standards. A focus on that is teaching through phenomena as opposed to more of a traditional rote method. So we'll look at a phenomenon and students will design kind of their own ideas and their own experiments. So we have some ongoing professional development with Dr. Emily Kang on that, and that's been really, really going well. The teachers have really embraced it and are kind of jumping into it with both feet. The transfer, and we're realigning our program to some degree to line up with the next generation science standards. So life sciences in 6th grade, and then physical sciences in 7th, and incorporating the next generation science standards into the earth science curriculum. So that's ongoing work that's been going on this year. Have some more professional development coming up for the teachers along those lines. Similar in math, looking at all our topics and lining them up with the standards. The scope and sequence has been refined to reflect that as well. Continuing our engineers teaching algebra program, which is a great program. We have an engineer come in from up in New Hampshire and does an entire 2 days really on different traffic patterns and how algebra is connected to engineering, and it really, for students, even the students wouldn't expect it, and all of a sudden they're very excited about the challenges, and they have to design their own traffic light system. And it's just, it's a wonderful program. I sat through it a few times, and we're happy to have that back, and it just sees the relevance. It shows the relevancy for students of the importance of math. And we're continuing to support, participate in the American Math Competition for our students as well. Our technology, we're still pushing towards as many and more hands-on learning experiences as we can. We're participating in the Kid Win program this year. That'll be coming up sometime in the next couple of months. And our family and consumer sciences, we've kind of realigned, revitalized that curriculum as well, embedding the middle level CTE standards in that class. If you looked at the difference from a couple years ago to now, you'd see a lot more business-based, advertising, product design. So it's really an innovative program. Ms. Berg, who's our new teacher, he's kind of hit the ground running with that. Just observed some really cool projects that kids are working on in human development, where they had to develop age-appropriate toys and make prototypes and manuals. So that's it's a different looking program, and I think it's engaging to students. Oops. And in our science program, of course, we hit all the standards, and we want kids to do well on the exams, but we want to have fun while we're doing it. So that's just an example of one of the density labs that we do in our earth science program, where kids actually get inside of those barrels, 55-gallon drums, and they measure displacing. Kids remember that one, right? Remember that course. So that's still up and running. Students really enjoy that course, and that particular lab, I should say. So it's just a way to keep our students engaged. In the humanities, we continue our work with Sarah Cordova through Literacy Matters. This is our 3rd year of the work with that. Where we're looking at our ELA program and focusing on creating aligned units of study, 6 through 7. The implementation, and we looked at reading, writing, and grammar, and those workshops continue through this year. I've had an opportunity to sit in on a few of those as well, and the unit writing and the lesson plan that goes along with it is impressive. It's really fostered it's a big sense of teamwork, I think, amongst the teachers of working on that program together. Social studies, we're focusing on the My World Interactive, which is a new platform. It's got a one-stop shopping, or it's a textbook, and it's got additional resources, web resources, and it's chock full of resources. And we continue with our professional development. We had someone in the other day, someone from the My World Interactive, to do a PD with our teachers, and that's moving along well. It's also. Our ELA program is still up and running. We're looking to continue to add to the programs that we've offered last year. World languages, the focus this year has been looking at the scope and sequence, and there's a change in the checkpoint exams. So it's a matter of taking a look at the exams, making sure that our instruction is supporting students. So not to line up with the exam, but to give them the skills they can use to be successful with that. So work continues across all of those curriculum areas. Those are just some examples of some of the new courses there. So top left is some work that's going on in the agriculture class. Actually, students constructed the planting boxes as well, so it's not just the gardening. It was constructing the planters as well. Top right is a picture of our students in the STEAM class with one of their projects. Bottom right is the virtual, you can't really see it that well, but the virtual goggles for students in the geography virtual field trips, getting to travel. I believe that one was through Asia. And the bottom left there is a journalism class. We're excited. We just received some new equipment where kids are going to be able to do some podcasting in that class. So we're excited to roll that out and get that going as well. Of course, a big component of middle school is, and any school for that matter, is to support social, emotional health of students. So in our school, we have 2 guidance counselors, we have 2 psychologists, we have a social worker. We have nurses, 2 nurses, and they all work to support, the social emotional well-being of our students by participating in welcome back assemblies. The team then gets into particularly the 6th grade classes for the new students to introduce themselves on a more personal basis and let them know what their function is as a school counselor. It's not something that elementary school students are necessarily used to, so it's just another resource for students. We recently completed our signs of suicide presentation. That's in conjunction with our health classes, where the mental health team will push into those classes and create awareness and just knowledge about how to support friends and what to look out for if you're concerned about somebody. Also participated in Unity Day and the Positive Posted. There's still some remnants of the Positive Posted project where kids will come in and just put all over the place, just positive messages to students. And they put them everywhere. They put them on mailboxes, teachers' mailboxes, everywhere you might turn, so that you kind of reinforce and feeling good about what's around you. And there's still some hanging around, so it's nice to see those. And it's kind of a simple thing, but it has a very positive effect on the school, I believe. The Suffolk County Police Department, they were in recently as well to conduct some presentations during Red Ribbon Week. They're also going to be back in to do some work on internet safety and cyberbullying. And December, our guidance department will be very busy doing the 8th grade parent conferences, where they go student by student over the program that they're currently in and what the best recommendations might be for students as they transition to the high school. Aside from all of that curriculum and social emotional work, we also have groups, not only mandated counseling, but we also have some groups for students who may need support, whether it be grief, divorce, or just social skills groups. So they have a lot going on, and they're always out and about supporting students. I mentioned that a moment ago. Red Ribbon Week is one of the oldest weeks dedicated to anti-drug abuse and alcohol abuse, and as well as bullying. Our advisories participate in creating posters, and you vote on the posters. We post them all in the front of the building. You can see some examples there. Additionally, we have a pledge for students to stand up against bullying and drugs. We have a presentation by Dr. Andrew Clare, who is he's our soccer coach as well. And he shares a very personal story about his experience with his mom, who unfortunately died from lung cancer. And he shares that with students, the 8th grade students in particular. And it's a really powerful presentation, and the kids, I think they really take it to heart, and they listen, they ask questions about it afterwards. Also because they see him around the school occasionally, so it's kind of a familiar face with him being the coach. But that's a very powerful program. And then, as I said, the Suffolk County Police Department, our resource officer comes in and does a presentation as well. Another function, obviously, of social emotional learning is the Wildcats with Character program, which Ms. Von Eschen has really done a wonderful job bringing to all the schools as well. And we have students who get randomly nominated for teachers through a Google form, students that have been displaying the character trait of the month, which this past month was kindness. So these students were all called down in the morning to come down to the main office. They had no idea why. It was because they were nominated by one of their teachers for practicing an act of kindness, whatever it may be. So there's a description of it in there. So they came down and were surprised with some gifts that we had for them. And we're going to look to obviously continue to do that each month in alignment with the character trait of the month. We have a robust extracurricular program. Those are just some examples of some of the clubs that we do have here. Art Club's a big hit this year. We have many students attending Art Club, 30 or 40 students attending Art Club. Greenhouse is always full, as is Tech. The Contemplations is a literary magazine. Best Buddies, we're looking to kind of get going again. Miss Gilmore was out for a bit on a maternity leave. She's back, so she's hopefully going to be able to get that rolling. World Languages program is a newer club. Then we have some of the traditional ones with the Student Council, Honor Society, Leadership Club, History Day. Mr. Ackerman's club, the Digital Media Club, has a good following, and then we have some of the clubs that you would try out for, I guess, or Jazz Club, Chromatis, Quartetones, and those take place after school, all music-related programs. So, Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays is a lot of 6th graders in the building after school participating in the clubs, and 7th and 8th graders as well, but they also have access to the athletic program. But it's full. There's a lot of kids. participating in the different programs, and that's what we want. We want them to stay after school and to find something that might spark their interest. Our athletic teams, traditional, scope and sequence there of teams that we have. I was looking at the fall program, and we do have the most teams available in the fall, and of the students that are eligible, we had over 50% of the kids participating in one of those activities. So it's a really, really strong enrollment, strong interest in those programs. The winter 1 and winter 2 are a little bit small, just as far as the offerings are concerned, just because it's indoor, but it then ramps back up a little bit in the spring with those programs. So a big part of the school, kids participate, another way for students to stay connected to the school aside from the clubs. Field trips, so we have our traditional field trips that we go on. The DC trip, obviously, we try to run every year. That's down to Washington, D.C., whirlwind. So you go down on a Thursday morning, run all day, stay over Thursday night, then go all day Friday and get home late Friday night. Always a great trip. The kids really enjoy it. They love seeing all the places that they see in the news or they've read about in their textbooks. So we're looking forward to running that trip. Christmas Carol is another traditional trip that supports our ELA program. That's over at Theater 3 in Port Jeff. That's coming up soon. A new addition is West Hampton Beach, the Performing Arts Center. Our AIS classes are going to head down there for performances in the spring. I think one of them is Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief, where they'll see it actually performed after they've read it. So we're looking forward to that. That's a new one that we've added, so we're excited to see how that goes. And then we're going to hold on to the Connecticut State Park trip for our 7th grade class, supporting the science curriculum. That's a really cool trip where kids get to travel all throughout the park, through the trout hatchery, do a study there, an interpretive hike. They do some hands-on experiments when they first arrive. And it's all contained within the school day. So with that one, we split up half the class one day, half the class the other. So we have small groups, about 10 or 12, that work with the BOCES people that do the outdoor education. Some really great improvements, just facilities-wise, I guess you would say, in the middle school over the past year or so. It's hard to see tonight, but the whole fascia of the building, the outside of the building, has been all repainted white, and it's beautiful. It's a noticeable difference if you had looked at it before and looked at it afterwards. It just brightens it up. Our outdoor learning space is constructed on the side of the building, where we're going to hopefully be able to leverage that and use that coming up in the springtime for outdoor classes, as well as there's some really nice setup for some music groups to be out there. Maybe some small group instruction can happen out there with the music program. So we're really excited to get that going. Just some interior work. We had some classrooms that had glass walls that, as far as safety and security, it's better to have solid walls as far as lockdowns and things of that nature. So we did some work on there. It came out great. New bathrooms in Wing 2 that needed this sprucing up, and they really came out beautiful. I have some pictures of those coming up. Cabinetry in the music suite. So that came in recently. Now we have full storage for all the equipment and full storage for the music, with sheet music. So that room has really come along a long way in the past couple of years, and we thank the Board of Education for their support with that as well, to really give our kids a space that they can be proud of. They play so well, and they're so dedicated to it. It's nice that they see that we place a value on it as well, I think. Lots of new ceilings throughout the building. When you look up, you see them. Otherwise, it's not that noticeable, but when you are in the building, it just reflects, I think, the light a lot better, and it's noticeable of folks that work here. So we appreciate that. And we do have some new fencing. We completed our fencing project of the whole school about a year ago, but we had some new fencing put into the front of the building, which I think is really, really nice. And that was a suggestion from Mr. Rossini, as well, as how we should actually taper it off, and it's kind of like scalloped fencing there. And we have irrigation in there, so hopefully come spring with the water running, we'll have some nice grass growing, and we're going to do some more cleanup, I think, on the north side of the building where those trees are. So, in the past few years, again, we thank you for your support with that, because the outside of the building, I think, has really come a long way and looks really nice. Picture of the bathrooms, really, really beautiful job. They did a great job with that, and the kids are happy about that as well. There's an example of some of the music cabinetry that's in there. There's a couple of pieces that just came in the other day that we're going to finish up, but once that's all finished up, we'll be ready to go. On that top left there is the music storage. That was when it was first installed, but that's full with instruments now. All the instruments are stored. None of the instruments are really stored on the floor. They're stored in all of those wonderful spaces that we have. A picture of the fascia in the sunlight, so you can see it's a little bit whiter than it used to be. Just wanted to jump back to academics for a second. One of the things that we're really proud of in the past 2 years is the kind of reinvention or remodeling, I guess you would say, of our AAS program. So we're about ready to do it now that the report cards just came out. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll actually sit down with the guidance counselors. The directors usually attend as well. Mr. Meinster often attends. And we actually go through every student and look at their progress, particularly in math and ELA. And we look at their quarterly grades. We look at their scores on the ALEX and iReady. We take into account teacher and parent anecdotal input. So we'll sit and we'll go through every student. We have a coding system where we can code them in different colors about what our next step should be, our action should be with regard to supporting those students. It's a beautiful spreadsheet that was created last year that really helps us through that work, and we've refined it as we've walked along, so we're looking forward to running through that as well. Students, when they are successful, well, oftentimes they are, consecutive quarters of 75, they would have the ability to come out of those support classes and then get back into one of the other exploratory courses that we had mentioned earlier. Those are just our current enrollments in the AIS program. Numbers that are pretty consistent, pretty steady along the board. And as we said, students can come out of an AIS support class after they've had some success two semesters in a row. We want to see some consistency with their academic success. And I think that is kind of demonstrated when you look at our results. It's something I'm extremely proud of with the work that the teachers and the students are doing with that earth science, particularly with the earth science and algebra 2. Extremely high passing rates, extremely high mastery rates. We have about 90 students now in our earth science program. And I would put those numbers up, against any other of our neighboring schools. The algebra, for a fully accelerated math program, it's an incredible passing rate as well. We certainly always want to strive, and we're looking to do a little bit more in the mastery area. Our average scores are really good, but we want to certainly push up mastery wherever we can. And towards that end is why we do a lot of the curriculum work with the benchmarking and taking a look at exams and looking for trends in where students may have fallen down a little bit or patterns. And really, refocus our energies when we look at our curriculum to make sure we cover those areas fully. So there's a lot of work that goes on with that, and again, I think the results are outstanding. There's always room for improvement. We're always in a cycle of improvement, but this is just an example of some of our academics. Let's see. So going forward, we're definitely looking forward to utilizing those outdoor learning environments in a variety of ways. Once it's up and constructed and completed, we'll get a better idea of how we can use that, and the folks that want to sign up for that and take advantage of that, we'll certainly support them. Continuing to do some work on the buildings and the grounds. We've come a long way. We're just about there. There's a couple of little things we want to fine tune as we move along. The exploratory classes, the ones we had mentioned earlier, the new classes. We're 2 months in, right? So we're getting a lot of good feedback, and one of the things that we like to do, and I used to do as a teacher, and I know our teachers do here, is about halfway, 3/4 of the way through the year, you look at your program, you survey the students. What did you guys like? What did you enjoy? What wasn't so great? As you go through it, you learn from other districts that have similar programs. So, we would take a look at that sometime in late winter, early spring. What do we like about these classes? What can we do better? Just part of a normal process of self-improvement, essentially. Again, I mentioned a few of the professional development opportunities that we have for our teachers, and we always know that PD is good when it's targeted, it's specific, it's got a particular aim. So I think what we're doing within the ELA and the social studies, and particularly the science right now, is in support of that, and we're going to continue that work as we see needs arise, and with the input of teachers and students and families as to what we can do to best support them. And it's just continuing to develop inclusive opportunities. And by that, I mean mostly, clubs, whatever new clubs we can add that can support and meet a student's need. The student comes to us about a club that they might be interested in. We look at it. We try to see if we can support them. Do we have something that's similar to that? And that's kind of what we mean when we look at those opportunities. And also, I would like to see some more school-wide activities, maybe connected with like a student council or honor society, where we can get out into the community. Just a quick example, not something that we're necessarily doing, but like beach cleanups, things of that nature, where students can get out as a group and see the value of community service, and and folks can see the kids out there as well doing some of that work. So those are some of the ideas that we have moving forward. And I hope you got a good overview of what we're trying to do this year. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Thank you for the very, very thorough, beautiful presentation. Do any trustees have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Going back to the expanded exploratory course offerings, so how did we think about, or how did you think about, looking at 6, 7, and 8, looking at the enrollment? It looks like you're averaging about 100 students per grade. Those are half-year courses, right? They change?
They're every other day courses.
Every other day.
Yeah, so
it's
essentially
gonna be-
half year, yeah.
Got it. Did we anticipate that you'd have all the students enroll, or did you, so if they don't?
No,
take the course- okay.
we didn't anticipate we'd have full enrollment, because we do know that students that are engaged in the music ensembles, that's their 9th period, essentially. So we kind of had a good, and we came out pretty accurate, a good feeling about how many students we would have enrolled in those courses, based on who's rolling over from chorus, music, chorus,
Gotcha.
band, orchestra, things
So
of that nature.
typically, if a student's not taking a music class, this is the other opportunity?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
got it. Thank you.
I had a question about the exploratory courses as well, and I'm just curious about hearing, perhaps this is a better question for when you were mentioning further into the year, in February, when we have a better idea of how they've shaken out. But just initial great feedback, and any thought in terms of, like, do we want to continue with these specific courses going forward? And do we, is there any room, and maybe the answer is just no with our student body, with our limitations, is there any thought to being able to self-select into those programs, or is it going to remain going forward, fixed for each grade level?
So the first part of your question, the feedback that I've had from students has been, positive. It's something different, something they haven't experienced before, particularly, with the virtual geography classes and journalism classes, something that we really, hadn't explored before. So the students are excited, they're participating, it's new, right? It's something new that the teachers are teaching as well. So as they're moving along, they're picking up on best practices and, learning as you go along. The idea of self-selection for those electives is something that we think about for sure. The first year we wanted to get it up and running so that we had a place for everyone to go, but I don't see a reason that we couldn't explore that further, and it could be something that we could possibly do. Going down the road, that's involved a little bit of staffing, planning, and things of that nature. But in and of itself, the idea of being able to take a geography course as opposed to computer programming course. Right. Why not, if we can accommodate that, because it's based on student interest, right? So we want to kind of appeal to them as best we can. So there's a lot of moving parts with that, but it's something that we've had some initial discussions about.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. Do you have any specific anecdotes from students or teachers about the 9-period day in general? Like you had mentioned, it's been successful. It's likely something you want to see continuing going forward. There's been a lot of work in creating and developing it, but there is a budgetary correlation that
Sure.
that is there, and also it's kind of being piloted this year in essence.
So from the student perspective, the largest amount of feedback I've had is from the students in the ensembles.
Okay.
And that's really that they like the consistency, they like coming in every day. There's a strong connection to their teachers. They like to see the progress, the incremental progress that they can make during the course of a week with going into the ensembles every day. The greater amount of feedback I've heard is from teachers, and that has been overwhelmingly positive, just based on the ability to have some more common planning time where they can work with their colleagues and do some additional planning. Needless to say, the ensemble teachers, Mr. Voles, Mr. Finity, Mrs. Monte, they love it, right? And you could see the product of that. But echoing the students, they really love the consistency of seeing their kids every day, and they're able to tackle more challenging music because they know they're going to be with them every day, and they can really connect with the students. And like unconnected to the curriculum necessarily, I know the students really do love having a dedicated lunch period where they can sit and take 39 minutes to eat their lunch if they want. They can finish up their lunch and they can go to the library. They can go to their teacher's classroom. A lot of them go to the music room. So that, I think, has been a benefit. And the fact that it opened up some room for teachers to have some duties. It's nice for the kids appreciate having their teachers in the lunchroom on duty maybe. It's another way to informally connect or talk about a class, or not talk about a class, just build your rapport with them. We have some additional teachers now on duties in the hallways and stuff, so I think it's, there's been some not necessarily unintended consequences that have been positive. So all in all, I think it's kind of coming along the way we had hoped, and we'll continue to monitor it and look at it, and we'll do some feedback, some surveys for students, maybe in another couple of months, and try to see how they feel about things as well.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
So Van, I just had a quick question about the AIS. So happy to hear that we're conducting, academic progress reports for every student. At what stage during the school year do we ascertain that a student potentially needs a service? Is it weighted based on, are we waiting for the quarter to end?
Yeah, that review process?
Correct.
Well, there's always an opportunity during the course of a quarter for a parent to call and say, hey, or a teacher to say, I'm concerned about this student. He's attending extra help. He's not really getting the concepts. So it's not just looked at. I guess that spreadsheet with all that information is looked at the end of every quarter. But we're always getting information and feedback from teachers and parents along the way to take a look, at this particular student maybe.
Okay, do you have any data that, as far as how weighted it is with regards to the teacher or the student or the parent being proactive in recommending these services versus that quarterly review where we, as far as administration stepping in or potentially guidance to suggest AIS support?
I'm not sure what you're asking, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to understand, how proactive we are in identifying potential need versus taking the recommendation from a teacher or acting on the recommendation of a teacher or a parent.
Well, the teacher always is going to be right there on the front lines, so they're going to be able to give us the feedback on how a student is particularly doing in their class. So that's always going to, if there's a concern about that, that's going to always come after, or it should always come after initial conversation with the parent as well, right? Your child's struggling, I'd like them to come to extra help or things, whatever other resources that we have. And then we would go from that point forward. We do have a handful of, I guess, parent, calls and not recommendations, but have concerns about their students. But the vast majority of those anecdotal ones, for lack of a better word, I think come from the teaching staff who are in front of the student each day.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Mr. Van. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much to our high school students for waiting, and honestly, on recollection, we should have had you guys go first. But I do appreciate your patience, and it's kind of nice, especially that you are the high school government, that you can see this kind of holistic view and what the students are experiencing here at Prodell and who are going to be coming up and following you in the ranks. But we'd love to welcome you to the podium and your teachers here as well as Mr. Puglisi.
sure we get everybody here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. As always, I am going to turn it right over to those who know the school better than anybody, our students. I want to introduce our senior class and student government president, Ms. Courtney Green. I want a special recognition to our two student government advisors, Ms. Brittany Davis and Ms. Marianne Aegis, who have been doing an incredible job this year taking us back over. So without any further ado, Courtney, get us started.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be back here. We have Danny Colon here, a senior, Elizabeth Sabino, a junior, Don Kai Zhang, a junior, and a freshman, Anthony Mango. We're going to have Danny start off with our homecoming dance.
Good evening, board members and community. My name is Daniel Colon. I'm the secretary for the senior class. And this year's homecoming was a very important example to be set for the future of our school. So in order to make it appealing to the students, we had student government participate in coming up with the theme of movies. First, we had our annual Spirit Week. Each day representing a different movie, such as Adam Sandler Day, Frozen Day, and Teen Beach Movie. And lastly, Friday Night Lights, which was the day of the homecoming football game. I'll just wait for the presentation to come up.
You guys are doing such a phenomenal job getting the students engaged and active again at the high school. Just really, really appreciate it. It shows. Your hard work is really showing. Thank you.
That was a really big part of this year. Okay. And then the homecoming dance. The homecoming dance was, oh wait, this homecoming planning before. this what I just said. We had each class represent. Okay. Homecoming dance. The homecoming dance was held in the gymnasium, and the theme was movies. And there was a red carpet entrance, and we were able to get around 350 students to attend, and around 400 that purchased tickets. There was a student DJ, and the students who participated in helping with lighting as well. Snacks and drinks were also sold. A popular part of the dance was the photo wall that everyone enjoyed very much. Students were dancing, and everyone dressed up very nice to accommodate to the theme. Overall, it was a memorable experience and a great base for the next year's homecoming, and gave us important feedback on what we can improve. Now I'm going to pass it to Elizabeth Sabino.
I heard a lot of good reviews about that dance.
Yeah, definitely. We saw a lot of pictures online and social media and stuff. Loved it.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Sabino. I'm the junior class president. I'm going to talk about pep rally a little bit. So I think our pep rally was a huge success this year. You know, past years with COVID and everything, we don't have a lot of student engagement, and that was a big theme with homecoming and pep rally this year. Getting the community involved, getting students involved. So student government kind of planned, we voted in our meeting what games we wanted to do, and again, we kind of wanted to stray from traditional games and do games that we really think students would want to do and really participate in. And then during our lunch periods, we had pep rally game sign-ups where kids could sign up themselves, not other people, just themselves. And I found when I was, running that table, in the beginning of the week, students really weren't signing up, and we had to kind of go around and say, these are the games, pep rally's happening. And then by the end of the week, we got a flood of students signing up when they realized, oh, we have pep rally, we have games, we're going a little bit back to normal, which I thought was really amazing. And we decided to do pep rally in the gym this year because we thought, in the more enclosed space, we're kind of together more, we can hear the music, versus last year when we did it on the turf. So it was a huge success. The juniors actually won pep rally, which was super exciting. We all wore our different class colors, and it was just a great way for everyone to get involved, be with each other, support the fall sports, and it was a really great experience. So
Very
I
nice.
think
Incredible.
we're doing
I love how the follow-through was there. You had to sell it. You had to plan it and sell it and run it.
All right. Hello, Board of Ed. Thank you for inviting us back. I will be talking about the parade. All right. So although we haven't had the parade in a really long time, we were really excited and enthusiastic to be bringing it back. We know from talking to previous graduates of the Shoreham-Wading River District that the parade was a really big community event that helped raise school spirit. And it was just a really cool thing for everyone to get involved in. So we were really excited to be allowed the opportunity to help bring it back for our school. And I think like Danny and Elizabeth said, getting the community involved and setting an example for coming years was a really big theme of this year's homecoming and pep rally. So we went off of the themes decided for our Spirit Week. We went by movies, and we had student volunteers from each class come together and build floats, which we will be showing in a sec. And although there were many challenges and difficulties with creating this event, I believe it was a massive success. Not only was it fun, sort of marching along with everyone else and seeing people from each school sort of come together, I think you could tell from the faces of the people onlooking that they were having a lot of fun. It was a really cool event. And if you would continue to give your support for this, I think we could work with our administration, our students, to make this an even better and even bigger event next year.
Absolutely. It was awesome. It really set the tone for the whole day and the weekend as well, and the floats were beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. That was nice.
Hello, Board of Education. I'm Anthony Mango, president of the freshman class, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the freshman float and our production and how it went so far. So the homecoming float was based on the 2010s Disney movie, Teen Beach Movie, and overall the planning for our float, it took a majority of the time due to shipping of the materials to be purchased for it. The construction of the boat took about 5 days and was housed at a volunteer's house. Our boat was designed as a beach made from burlap with the cornhole inside it, a little cornhole game. There was also a large wave in the water made of blue paper. And one unfortunate setback was when we ordered palm trees. They were unable to make it on the float, but we had our cornhole game instead, which kind of made up for it. But we really had a fun time making it, and it came out great, so really enjoyed it.
Very nice.
All right. Unfortunately, none of our sophomores can make it to the meeting today, so I will be speaking on behalf of the sophomore class. So, I can't speak too much on what it was actually like working on this, but, as you could tell, it turned out really nice. So their theme was the 1970 musical Grease. All the floats were sort of themed around a movie, and that was theirs. The float's design was a vintage car with the words Pink Ladies and Thunderbirds on each side, representing the two groups from the movie. And like they said, one of the most difficult parts was getting volunteers to help work on the floats. Our students at high school, were really busy. But, I think Elizabeth will talk about one of the ways we helped, the junior class helped to get a lot of volunteers and help make our float really successful.
So the way that we picked the theme for our float was social media. Instagram was a really huge part for our float. So before we made any decisions, we made like a poll that anyone could vote on and said, what movie would you want to see as our theme? Then we kind of picked the top two, came down to that and made a vote and had the students vote. And I found that was really important. So when we announced the theme, people weren't like, oh, why is it this? Why is it that? They had direct engagement in picking the theme. So we came to the theme High School Musical. And again, like I said, we just post on social media every day, really talk to people word of mouth, because like I said, just with the pep rally games, in the beginning, people were asking so many questions. When is it going to be? What is it going to look like? And then finally, it came together. We definitely had a great amount of volunteers, which was a huge help at a volunteer's house. Student government officers and we came together in organizing the materials, ordering what we needed to order with our leader, Ms. Kavanaugh, which was really important. We just all worked together. The only way that this came together was teamwork, which what happened. And in the end, I think it looked really great. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at the parade, but we had volunteers at the parade, and we just came together. And like Alex said, the biggest thing was social media. Getting people involved, getting people to see, having accessible information that they could save to their camera roll, save to their phone, that it's easy to get, and that's what happened, and we had great engagement.
Good thinking.
Sorry.
Oh, that's.
So for the seniors, our theme was Up. It was all based around movies. The theme Up was to resemble our senior class graduation and going on to explore the outside worlds of high school and the success and difficulties it brings on the journey. In the end, all of our hard work was a success. Going into this, our school district hasn't done this, I think, in 10 years or whatever. So, as a president of the school, I was really I wanted to make this work. I didn't care what was going on. Every class, you ask my teachers, I was, trying to get every single person involved. And that's what really made this work. Every class had to dedicate one person to keep the trailer at their house. So for seniors, my house was the dedicated place where the trailer was. And a lot of the things in the past was, just a specific group. But my goal was to get everyone involved. So I invited the whole entire senior class to my house, to come and work on it. Even if it was, if it wasn't just one day, but we got together a couple times. But, my favorite part of this experience was people that I would not normally hang out with were there. And, even though it was hard work and a lot, at the end of the day, it really did pay off. You see, in our picture around the house, those are just some of the seniors who came to our parade. But it's really important, for the kids in the elementary school, just to see them in those couple pictures, just so happy, that sets the tone for their future, in high school. And this was our first year, and I'm so proud that we were able to all work together and get it back. But even in future years, I hope that the younger kids see that and they're going to want to be more involved to make it so good, because that's what makes it so fun. They look up to these kids. I remember when I was in middle school, I was just so excited to go to the pep rally because my sister hosted it. But that's exactly what's really all these kids really want us to see continue, because it can only grow and be more successful. Here are some more pictures from the seniors, just example of, so that house we had built, my grandpa actually helped us build it, but, we really did start from nothing. It was, we all, in student government, we were planning, and we had our help from our advisors. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them either, because they were there to guide us with the, limitations and what we could do with our float. So for next year, I really am so excited to see what it's going to bring, because I know that it's going to be great. And I really hope to get more people involved with the parade, or even make it a little bigger in a couple years. But, K through 12, that was just so important for everyone to be there. And, as a community, we really do have an amazing community. So it's we can make anything work. It was really I was so proud and just so happy. And the feedback from all the kids with the dance, there was 350 people there. That's just amazing. And we had our school DJ, the kids that were in the tech, for the lights and stuff, they came in and did it. But now that we built that up, we hope in the future we can, get a DJ with the money we have in our account, to make it even better for our future. So we have what's to come this year. We really wanted to do a powder puff. A powder puff fundraiser. We were going to try to include K through 12 and we would invite the whole school and community so that they can come and watch this big powder puff game, and try to include everyone. We can have some of the pop-up tents of clubs there, just so it's, K through 12, younger kids could see what's to come in future years. And that's really how it makes our programs grow. The spring dance, so it would kind of be along the lines of how we had for the homecoming dance, which is a huge success. It really was just so great to see, all 4 grades there, getting along and bonding and just having a great time. We have the elections, and the holiday door decorating is definitely something we're going to be working on together as a student government, because, with COVID, it's been hard in the past couple of years. And this year, I really feel so happy. COVID, we're able to bring back all these things that are important to a high school student to experience that in past years, we weren't really able to experience because of the COVID. But just when we were freshmen, that's what was like we were able to experience high school. And, you know, we pushed through. It was hard and everything. But this year, like, I'm just so happy with everything that's been going on and how successful student government and how successful our school's been with participating, you know, with, you know, getting everyone involved. And then we also are looking forward to a spring pep rally. The winter pep rally, there's not as much sports, so we were gonna wait for the spring pep rally to do another like big one like we did in the fall. So, you know, to have 2 people MC or, you know, lead the parade, the pep rally, but we really, really are gonna push for all these things to be a success, in which they all have been a success. And we are so thankful for that, you know, and all your support. And we can't wait to see. Any questions?
Well, we're thankful for you and everyone's involvement, you know, from the freshman class all the way up to yourselves. And you know, I'm not 100% familiar with the Powder Puff exactly. Can you
Yes.
explain that? I want
Yes.
to know more about that.
So Powder Puff, we were trying to do this as a fundraiser, which it would be juniors and seniors, and the girls are football, like play the game football, and then the boys like are all like the refs on the side. We did this last year during our fall pep rally, but it was our first year doing it, so we're gonna try to improve on some of the difficulties we had from last year, and it's just really so cool because it's like, it's a game, but it's fun. Like, you know, it's either the seniors or juniors win. So, like,
Okay, seniors against juniors?
Yeah.
Okay.
so that's what we do. And then we were
Nice.
gonna get like shirts and stuff with like, and fundraise with that too. So it really is so fun. Like, a lot of other schools do it too. So like, that's where we got the idea, and we were like, why not try to bring it here? And last year really was a success. But this year we're gonna even try to make it more of a success, so we can include all grades. And we were gonna do it like maybe like a mini like homecoming. We were gonna like try to do it as, so
Nice.
we can get everyone involved.
Courtney, we just want to all thank you. I think bringing back
Yes.
homecoming and all these traditions into the high school, just watching each of you as student leaders, standing up here tonight and being able to really articulate to us what you're all doing to bring back school spirit, right, to bring back involvement and, you know, working with your, what do you consider them? Advisors, I couldn't think of the word, thank you. And just really something to be proud of. So
Yeah,
thank you
thank
for what
you.
you're doing, and
We all
obviously
appreciate
know
it.
that you have support from all of us here on the board.
Definitely.
It's
Thank you.
exciting to see. Mr. Plazy, thank you for this, it's great. Yeah, so it's wonderful.
Yes.
And your families, obviously, for supporting all this. I can just imagine with what you had to do, how that all went
Yes.
went out. So
Definitely.
very
Oh,
exciting to
definitely.
see. You
Yes,
are
but
bringing
now,
back.
in future
Yeah.
years, I'm like so excited to see how good it's gonna be, because I
Yeah.
can only imagine how, you know, the success it's gonna bring, so.
Well,
really
please spread the
excited.
word, sorry,
Yeah,
yeah. Please spread the
definitely.
word that, you know, what you're doing is tremendous. So thank you
Yes.
for that. Very appreciative of this.
Thank you,
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks again for your patience and waiting. Next up, we have our report on the elementary school report cards. I know, yeah, good luck with following that. Our exciting students.
I don't think our report cards are as exciting
Womp
as what
womp.
is happening at the high school. That was fantastic. Good evening to the Board of Education and district office members and to the community. On behalf of Mr. Parinello, myself, the report card committee, and our elementary teachers, we are super excited to present to you our new elementary report cards. And as it was mentioned before, we did present drafts of our report cards back in the spring, but we are getting ready to roll these out in a few weeks. So we had the opportunity to last week and last month present to our PTO. But we thought it important to just present once again and just open up the opportunity for any questions from the board, and if community members have any questions, they can reach out to us. I will super quickly talk about the process that we had for our report card revision. It started a few years ago before COVID and was delayed because of the pandemic. We had committee members that stayed with us through thick and thin to work on our report cards. It was a lengthy process, but overall, I think we've come out with some really great products. We started by analyzing report cards from a number of different districts. The committee looked at different report cards in different formats, and we felt as a committee that we felt really good about the general format. It was a simplistic report card that we have, a one-page report card, so we liked that. We surveyed our teachers, and this is something that the committee put together, was a survey just to get input from all of our elementary teachers, how they felt about the report cards, what they felt confident with, what they felt needed revisions, and just their feelings in general, comments from parents. They're the ones that are working with the report cards, and they're the ones conversing with parents typically. So we got a lot of great feedback, and then we really dove into the work of revising our report cards. Once again, the format was nice, but we knew that we needed to change a few things. And one thing that the committee focused on was the key that we have for our report card. On our previous report card, we had 2 different keys, but the main key was based on numbers, and it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, with 4 being above grade level, 3 on grade level, 2 was approaching grade level, and a 1 was not meeting grade level standards. We had a number of teachers express concern in regards to that the 4 was almost an unreachable goal at the elementary level because it was above grade level. And how are we really measuring that? Students that might be working on their grade level and doing really well, it was a really hard thing to get to. We also heard the same thing from parents, and there was a little bit of concern that students were already comparing. Did I get 1s? Did I get 2s? How did you get a 3 at that level? And that's really not the mindset that we wanted to have at the elementary. We really wanted it to be more of a growth mindset. So the committee decided to go with a letter key, and you could see that on the sample report card. So the letters, E would be the highest, so that would be replacing our 4. And instead of above grade level, it was consistently meeting grade level standards with excellence. So for a student that is just doing it independently well and meeting those grade level standards and even excelling at those, you're getting an E. So that's a different goal than getting a 4, which is above grade level standards. Our G is on grade level standards, so they're meeting them. A P would be progressing towards, or an N would be just not there yet. So we're really looking at the mindset of we're working towards those goals. And that key is used for the entire report card rather than having 2 separate keys, which parents and teachers said that they found confusing. Standards are the area Mr. Parinello, I almost forgot his name for a second, Mr. Parinello will dive into in a minute, but just to give you a little bit of background on how we dove into the standards, this was by far the lengthiest part of our revision. Each standard of New York State standards were reviewed as an entire group. We started with our literacy, and every one of the New York State standards we went through, and we put them together in a way that we felt would be simplistic for parents to understand, would combine standards, but making sure that we covered every standard, and that teachers could always have an indicator for. On our previous report card, we had not applicables. And that was some real feedback that we wanted, is we wanted everything to be able to be measured. So for instance, and Mr. Parinello will dive into this a little bit more, if you look at a math standard, so maybe you're looking at geometry, and geometry might be taught in the spring of 5th grade, for instance. So in the fall, it would be an A. There wouldn't be a grade there. So rather than something specific like a geometry term, we made our standards so that it could be measured at each one of the marking periods.
Okay.
And that's listed in the articulation document, which Mr. Parinel will speak more about. So standards were very lengthy, but we are very proud of the standards that we put together, and we really feel that they meet the New York State standards in the best way for us and for the community and obviously for our students. One other thing that I'd like to speak about that is super important to all of us is that we added an effort category onto all of the curricular areas. So for all of our literacy areas, our social studies, our science, our math, and then even our special areas, our music, our art, our PE, we added in a last indicator of effort. And we really wanted to recognize the effort that a student will put in. So we might have a student that, is receiving an academic intervention, or a student that has a special needs. And they're not getting that standard, they're not there yet, but they are working so hard. So we really wanted to recognize a student's effort, that they could be excelling independently in their effort. And that just means so much to us in regards to progress at the elementary level. So I will turn it over to Mr. Parinello, who will talk more about our habits for learning and our social emotional learning standards that we added to the report card and articulation documents.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Smith. So yeah, it's been a process, right? We presented the report cards, I don't know, in the springtime, back to the draft report cards. We are excited, just a couple of weeks away. So social emotional component. With the effort that Mrs. Smith was talking about, we found, looking at research and the progress of students, those that tried hard and kept on working, really over time met with success. So we wanted to codify that, and we actually have under, on our report cards, we have it demonstrates perseverance under habits that support learning, a whole section on habits that support learning. And we also added a section on social emotional learning. I mean, we're talking about Wildcats. We're Wildcats with character. We're doing different presentations. Why not codify that as part of growth and progress? And so having components such as works well with others, respects others' rights, feelings, or properties, right there to say, this is important to us as a community in Shoreham-Wading River. We have incredible kids, outstanding parents, wonderful support network. Let's have those children shine in those areas. It's not just the academics alone. It's the whole child, and we wanted the report cards to reflect that. Working hand in hand with the report cards are articulation documents, which is, I think, really what you wanted to hear a little bit more about today. So just moving over to that. We want the parents and the children and the teachers to be able to look at a level, if they're an E or if they're a G or a P or an N, and be able to have a similar experience across all the classrooms and across all the grades. So I think that's third grade example right over there. So if you look at math, which is a great way to start off, if you look at exhibits fluent use of number operations, there's a T1, which can fluently add or subtract through 100 and multiply units 2 through 5, because in third grade, that's what we expect at the end of term 1. And then on terms 2 and terms 3, can fluently add and subtract through 1,000 and multiply and divide single-digit numbers and multiples of 10. So kind of flush it out into terms 1, 2, or 3. Sometimes a component may be, like effectively applies strategies to solve problems. And that, we didn't need to flush out. The teachers all created these on each grade, and they worked hard on them. So they didn't need to flush it out for term 1, 2, and 3, because as long as a child is able to extract appropriate information from a problem, or able to use a variety of models and methods to solve problems such as drawing pictures, seeking patterns, guess and check, and plan and solve, as long as they're able to do that on any term, they will meet with success. So when parents and teachers meet together, the articulation documents will be right there, so a teacher and a parent can have a conversation about a child, and here's where your child really is doing outstanding work, and here's where they can grow the most, or something like that, and pointing so the parent can go home and be like, oh, okay, we're going to work on, I don't know, seeking patterns and drawing pictures to help solve problems. Same thing goes for equivalent fractions, let's say if we're working through, or reading levels, if we go with reading or in writing, certain components of writing demonstrates structure for narrative, opinion, or informational writing. It'll be right there so they can refer to it. I know you have a lot on your agenda. You've heard some great presentations throughout the night. Do you have any questions for us?
I
Well,
have two quick,
yeah, no,
oh,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
Two quick questions. Thank you. I think that the document that supports the report card is so helpful. On the report card, there's an academic intervention service area. Will the family still received additional reports from AIS?
Yes, and
Okay.
that's actually interesting. We just got an email yesterday from Pete Esposito on this as he's working through the technical challenges on it. So students will receive one in reading and one in math. It'll be right on the report card. However, if they're getting, let's say, instead of every other day in reading or every other day in math, that's our normal process. If they're getting everyday services, which is like twice the amount that we normally give, so they'll actually be twice on the report card, and they'll have, let's say, 2 grades on that, so they can see that they're getting that double dose, that extra support in AIS reading or extra support in AIS and math, and that will appear right on the report card. So on the copy I actually have that I printed up, it's right there, Academic Intervention Services.
But then they'll, yes.
Yeah, I think what you're asking is the additional report that comes directly from the AIS teacher. More specifically,
Right.
yes, they'll still be receiving that. So we decided to add this on to have the full picture, but that is not changing.
So there's a supporting document. And I
Yes,
just have one more
absolutely.
question.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
So when I look at math and ELA reading, it's very concrete. I just am wondering if there's where parents can get a little bit of clarification for writing. So when I look at writing, I know it's a little bit ambiguous, but where can parents get clarification on what a grade level expectation is?
Great question. So that's something we could flush out and maybe grow a little bit on. You have the 3rd grade example, on writing. It's each unit, let's say if they're doing narrative right now, let's say 5th grade is doing journaling or, or something like that, or expository writing, whatever they're working on. So the teachers may have, I'm actually looking at let's say the 4th grade sample over here on writing. Application of proper spelling and submitting work. Demonstrate spelling is measured within words their way work. Applying long, complex sentences. The writer uses commas to make them clear and correct. Where they flushed out each individual.
It's a lot of data.
Yeah. So this way, the parents, proper use of punctuation, complete sentences, commas, capitalization, quoting. So develops questions and participates in independent research. So each one of those is kind of flushed out a little bit more as they grow in the grades.
Almost on a continuum?
Yes, you could say it's definitely on a continuum. It's more like bulleted points going down where they can say, yeah, your child is making growth in this
Okay.
area. This is where they should be in term 1 or term 2 or term 3.
Okay, it's challenging, but.
But
thank
it
you.
is very important, and writing's so visible, so you want to have it clearly articulated.
Yeah, I think if you look at all of the articulation documents together, I think you'll see the progression.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
and I think you'll see more details depending on the grade level. Also remembering that, we have our progress reports, we have the articulation documents, but the conversations with teachers are the most important, the continual conversations that we're having with our teachers, the work that's coming home every day. And communication's essential. So, when we get to our progress report, as we know, there should be no surprises here. And I think that's really, there's so much value in that whole process. And also not being afraid to ask questions. I don't see it on the articulation document, or I need more details. I know many of the teachers at Miller Avenue send out specifics. We're working on a nonfiction unit or working on our research unit and having those, the letters that are coming home. So it would be wonderful if we could put everything on this articulation document, but that would be impossible. However, we actually just had a conversation this last week with Mr. Meinster, who's been assisting with us, and really looking at what we could add in the future to these documents. So it reminded me of that when you said writing. I looked at writing, and you don't have all this right here to look at, but we were talking about what we could add even for our, our social studies and our science, and it it might not be as specific, but just some of the other areas in regards to how we could make these documents better. So these are really solid drafts that we have, but you know, we've now learned that maybe we want to do a little bit more with them, and I think there's more to come there. So that's a conversation that actually just started, and I think we want to see how these roll out in the next few weeks and get some feedback from parents in regards to that.
It's excellent work, and I really appreciate it. I think a question that comes to mind as a parent is often, what can I do at home? When your child is, making limited progress, or what is my role as a parent? What can I do to support the specific outcome?
Yeah, and I think the articulation document is super helpful. Those will be available online. The progress report is super helpful, but I really think it's the conversation with the
Thank you.
student's teacher
Beautiful work.
that,
Thank you.
what you can get. That's where you'll really get the ideas and the strategies of what you can use at home. This is a piece of paper that has it all, but those conversations, there's nothing more valuable than that.
Thank you both.
Just a quick comment. I mean, I really love the effort category that we put in there for the subcategories.
Great,
I think it's
you.
excellent. And I really love that demonstrates perseverance, because even though a student could be struggling, as long as they're putting in the effort and they can see that that's being recognized, I think is
So
is
important.
really, really
Thank you.
important.
Yeah, that was super important to the committee, and it was kind of all of a sudden, like, we looked at it and we said, we just scrapped the whole area and started it all over because we went in that direction. And once we got rolling, it was something that we all felt really good about.
Yeah, it's important.
Thank you for coming back again. Like you said, you've presented to us a couple of times, and the timeliness of this,
Yeah.
especially with the additional detail, is really appreciated. And in terms of the articulation, fabulous work. In the behavioral component, being that it's brand new, I brought this up last time. I think I'm just I'm excited about it, and I'm cautiously optimistic that articulation is going to be universal and consistent, and for a parent, if they see something on that document or on the report card rather, that might come as a surprise to them. What do you suggest the response as a parent should be?
What's the evidence, and how can I help? Where
What's
do
that?
you see
That's
that
the
happening?
question.
Is it is it math lessons, social studies? Is it during recess? Is it on the bus? And how can we help my child grow in those areas? So
Whenever I hear something that's a surprise, I get a little bit of, I would hope that there wouldn't be a surprise if something is marked on the report card. But if they are surprised, I agree with Mr. Parinello, that line of communication needs to be opened up immediately, not only by the parent, but the teacher. So that's a real important conversation. And if there was a surprise in regards to a specific, and honestly, anything, that's a real conversation that we need to make sure that we're doing a better job relaying information, because there really shouldn't be surprises.
I appreciate that. I really, just to clarify, I'm certain there's the back and forth going on, just that it's a brand new.
Sure.
That's, I guess, what I mean more by surprise.
I understand, yeah.
Just that it's, since it's new as a measurable outcome, that it might take a bit to, until the next marking period to kind of work out all those. Those are great questions,
Yeah.
Great questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, and thank you for your insights. Thank you.
I would be remiss if, of course, thank you. It's simple, but such complex work to get there. But we have to thank Mr. Pete Esposito, who,
Yes, thank
in
you.
order to get this into a usable format for staff and for parents in the portal, countless days, weeks, hours at a difficult time of year, always in tech to make this happen. So thank you. If you're listening, Pete, thank you very
Yes,
much
thank you
for your efforts. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next up, we have our votes and resolutions. First, one curriculum and instruction resolution. Can I get a motion for 108? Tom, second Jim. Any discussion or questions?
Nope.
All in favor? 5-0. For HR resolutions, we have 109 and 110. Can I get a motion?
Take them as a block?
Yeah, we'll take Tom, second Jim. Any discussion or questions on those?
Nope.
All in favor? 5-0. Business and operations resolutions, we have 111 through the two of them, 112. Can I get a motion to vote on these? Megan, second Tom. Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I just have one question. For both 111 and 112, the students aren't charged to participate in those, are they?
There is a fee associated with the athletic club for participation in the program. Yes, there is.
Oh, there is?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So that's with regard to lacrosse skills training, right? And then the stadium, they're both lacrosse skills training preseason? Okay.
Yes.
Okay to vote?
Mm-hmm.
All in favor? 5-0. Can I get a motion to vote on our personnel agenda? Tom, second Megan. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 5-0. Okay. That's it for our meeting now. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Tom?
Communication.
Oh, sure. You
No,
have
no, I'm saying,
communication?
did we do that already?
We don't have any additional comments from residents or communications, but do you have any discussion items that you wanted to bring?
I do not.
Okay.
I just wanted to be heard at the end of the meeting, that's all.
Okay. Just want to hang out a little longer. I got Tom as the motion, but I didn't get, I'm sorry, second?
Yeah.
Megan, okay. All in favor? 5-0. And thank you again to Amelia for being here and persevering through all of the presentations and giving us your report. Thank you so much.
Did a great job.
Sounds like